High casualties are reported in Syria, with at least 1,000 civilians killed by militant Islamists in the country's west in Latakia, Hama, and Homs. The murdered are religious minorities, including women and children.
Overseas news, the U.S. and Ukraine began talks in Saudi Arabia this morning about ending the war with Russia. Just hours earlier, Kyiv launched what sure appears to be its largest drone attack on Russia since Vladimir Putin's invasion. Russian officials say they shot down hundreds of drones, but 3 people were killed, 18 others hurt.
You know, it's been these projects like Syria, which is now on the chopping block as that country descends into absolute blood chaos, as we've called it here on the show. Then you've got Rubio. He's down meeting with the Ukrainians in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia today, although not meeting with President Zelensky, who is also there. Zelensky, of course, reneging on the deal. There's so much of the blob. Let me ask you to come at it this way. Why is it that so much of blob infrastructure is tied in foreign projects like this?
Well, it's because that's where the money is and that's where the resources are. And, you know, there's this, I come back to the Milton Friedman video about the pencil, and he ties it back to the magic of the free market. You know, no one in America can create a pencil because the gum comes from trees in Malaysia and the graphite comes from mines in South America. And that's the same thing for every product. Everything that we source requires, you know, cobalt from Congo, or lithium from Argentina, or titanium from Ukraine, or uranium from the Sahel in Africa. So every big multinational corporation sources its critical resources from abroad. They now, since the 1990s, primarily do have their labor forces abroad. This is the cheap labor that Trump is trying to onshore manufacturing so that America becomes a heartland manufacturing center again. We've seen some of the success of that with hundreds of billions of dollars pouring in from places like Japan and Saudi Arabia and other countries to try to build their plants or their manufacturing in Arizona or in Ohio. But the fact is you have foreign markets. This is actually it's in USAID's charter. When if you listen closely with ears to hear it, you will hear Senator Chris Murphy and other USAID SPOCs say this, that USAID, part of its purpose is to secure export markets for foreign goods. There's only 300 million people here in the US. It's a big world out there. There's 8 billion customers out globally. And so you have the business interests.
Wait.
Globally.
So this almost sounds like this. I'm pulling a Bannon right there, right? Wait. Hold on. This almost sounds like what you're talking about in terms of what President Trump is doing with trade and restructuring the global system for the trade arrangement to actually benefit the American people, as opposed to the American empire. You're also saying that that's what USAID was doing. They were expanding the American empire because the American empire was predicated on this idea of global trade. And I think people keep separating these issues, but what you're saying is they're actually intrinsically connected, and that's why President Trump is focused on them so directly here in his first 50 days in office.
They're completely interconnected. They fit like a glove. I mean, that is what part and parcel of the same beast. And the fact is, if you are going to get rid of the soft power potential of something like USAID, you're going to need to offset it by some other restructuring that benefits American influence in turn. And I think that's the purpose of these tariffs, which is that if companies manufacture within the United States, then they don't get tariffed sending their goods here because they're already here. And so this is why I think you see hundreds of billions of dollars pouring in, so that companies, if they have foreign cars, they're going to manufacture them in Ohio. If they have, foreign trinkets, or foreign chips, they're going to manufacture them in Arizona. And this creates jobs for the Americans who live here, the American homeland. This is actually what foreign countries were doing to induce U.S. multinational corporations. This is how you have places like Microsoft and others who primarily have, their advanced workforce in China or in other foreign countries for cheap labor and then favorable tax or regulatory treatment. Well, we're now doing that here, which is long overdue. Frankly, this should have been done 30 years ago. This was the sort of thing that America dominated the 20th century with its, as Stephen Miller talks about, its manufacturing miracle in the heartland, which then was carved up and became the Rust Belt after all the multinational corporations, U.S. multinational corporations, saw that it was cheaper to simply go abroad for their labor force and to have their commercial business oriented towards the great outside.